specialty coffees, Lotus energy drinks, and tons of breakfast cereals with toppings. And did we mention they have video games to play while you're there too? Control Coffee and Cereal Bar, open 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday and 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. on the weekends at 15th and Pine Lake.
Mike, the insurance company wants us to replace the roof.
Wait, what? I thought everything was fine.
Yeah, it says right here our roof is too old and they won't be able to cover us anymore.
I guess it is 15 years old. Hi, I'm Austin with Roofing Service Company. We help homeowners with their roofing and siding projects. Financing options are available, and we can get you under a new roof no time at all. If this sounds like you, visit roofingservicecompany.com. That is roofingservicecompany.com.
Hey guys, it's your girl Jordan from Sartor Heyman Jewelers. Have an anniversary coming up? I've got you covered. Celebrate your love with the timeless elegance of jewelry. This anniversary, give the gift of sapphires, emeralds, rubies, or gold. Find the perfect piece that reflects the beauty and depth of your commitment. Whether it's your first anniversary or your 50th, surprise your loved one with a gem as beautiful and rare as she is. Until next time, this is Jordan at Sartor Heyman Jewelry. Happy shopping, guys.
Advanced Medical Imaging is the largest radiology group in Nebraska, located in Lincoln at 7601 Pioneers Boulevard. At Advanced Medical Imaging, they utilize state-of-the-art technology and blend it together with their compassionate, skilled team to guide you through every step. Whether it's an MRI, CT scan, or X-ray, their precise diagnostics help your doctor deliver the best care plan for you. Choose clarity and comfort in your life by choosing Advanced Medical Imaging, located at 7601 Pioneers Boulevard and online at amimaging.com.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com.
On the internet.
KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket.
This is Bill Mitchner, Executive Director of Lincoln Lighthouse. Did you know Lighthouse provides multiple programs for students such as one-on-one tutoring and mentoring, as well as pro-social skill exercises, while providing them a nourishing meal and a safe space during all months of the year, even during school breaks? Learn more or contribute to Lighthouse at lincolnlighthouse.org today.
Finally, a good reason to have a smart house. Just say, Alexa, play 93.7 The Ticket, and we'll magically start playing. How's it work? Nobody knows. Don't ask questions.
Are you ready for a new opportunity? Check out Sandhills Global. Join a dynamic team where your skills are valued and your career can soar. We offer full-time positions with a 4.5-day work week, competitive pay, excellent benefits, and a positive work environment. From IT and marketing to sales and finance, we're looking for talented individuals just like you. Apply today at sandhills.jobs and take the first step towards an exciting future. That's sandhills.jobs. Don't wait, apply now.
Rosie's Sports Bar and Grill, open for lunch and dinner at 1501 Center Park Road, just south of 14th and Highway 2.
This is the Adam Carriker Show.
Position right of the quarterback, out of the shotgun, first and 20. Jailbreak screen in the air. It is tipped. It is intercepted by Carriker at the Missouri 21-yard line.
Live from the heart of Lincoln, America, 8-year NFL vet and All-American defensive lineman Adam Carriker.
Shotgun snap to Everidge. He's got the left arm going, and now he's got a whole lot of Adam Carriker who rips him down inside the 25-yard line.
On 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Here is your host, Adam Carriker.
Self-control is strength. Calmness is mastery. You have to get to a point where your mood doesn't shift based on insignificant actions of someone else. Don't allow others to control the direction of your life. Don't allow your emotions to overpower your intelligence. All right, ladies and gentlemen, hopefully you had a glorious weekend. It's a beautiful Monday in Lincoln, Nebraska. The temperature is getting warmer. The humidity is starting to creep in just a smidge. But as always, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday, the Adam Carriker Show, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Central Time. Grab your lunch. Come join us. Occasionally, every once in a while, we hit the mark and we're smarter than the average dumb guys. In the meantime, what you're going to hear is Husker sports, college football, and sports in general. What you're going to get is unique insight and bridled honesty. And producer Jake and I are going to have a whole lot of fun in the process. All right, you probably guessed it, but yes, it is indeed a loaded show. Nebraska softball, number 2 seed in the Baton Rouge Regional. Can they make a deep postseason run? World Women's College World Series type run. What can they do? What do we see? Who are they playing? UConn. All right, is who they're going to be playing Friday at 2 p.m. Central Time. Baseball. All right, did not get the win on Sunday, but they took the series from Michigan over the weekend. This was a big series for Nebraska baseball, and they've now won 4 weekend series, in a row. They've won 4 of them in a row. Couple of dramatic fashion type wins over the past couple of days, Friday and Saturday over Michigan. Can they make a run in the Big Ten tournament? Pretty much they got to win the thing. I mean, this is a squad that won it last year. This is a squad that has as many or more people back than most teams from a year ago. Preseason prediction, it was supposed to be Oregon, supposed to be Nebraska. As long as they're one of those 12 teams, all that matters is what you do once you get in the Big Ten tournament. Now, are they going to be favored to win? Absolutely not. Do I think they have a shot? Are they getting warm? I don't know about hot. We'll call them getting hot if they make some noise in the Big Ten tournament. But they're getting warm, dare I say, borderline, a smidge on the hot side of things. And we'll see how they do in the Big Ten tournament. Can they make a run? The experience, the talent, the potential is there. All right. Also, the offensive line. How are they going to do this year? How do they look after the spring? How do they look in the spring? How do they look after the spring? How do we project them going forward into the fall? We got a whole bunch of other things to chat about as well throughout the show. All right, Jake, how was your weekend? How are you doing, my man?
Yeah, I can't complain. I think I had a good weekend. The Celtics won, which I was worried about. They couldn't fall down 3-0. So that was the most important part of my weekend. But now they will have some fun, relax, and get excited about, like you said, baseball and softball. Really kind of turning the corner. It's especially for baseball. Like you said, they needed that series win. So now they're positioned pretty well. And it's time. It's tournament time, the funnest time of the year.
All right, so I was going to dive right into baseball and softball, but you brought up the NBA. Every time you talk about a Boston team, I have to remind myself that you're a Boston fan, okay, because you're like the Celtics. I'm like, what? And you said something a couple of weeks ago. It was anti-New York Yankees, which I can completely get on board with, but then I had to remind myself that you're a Red Sox fan.
That's right.
All right, so real briefly, let's talk about the NBA playoffs. So the Celtics are not down 0-3.
That's right.
They're down 2-1. All right. Give me your brief update and or synopsis on the NBA playoffs up to this point. And if somebody out there hasn't watched a moment of the NBA playoffs and they're kind of like, I'm going to tune in during the conference finals, or I'm going to tune in come the next round, give them the update and synopsis they need to have.
Well, here we are. I mean, we're kind of getting ready. We got 4 series going. We mentioned Boston and New York. The Eastern Conference has really been dominated by the road teams. There's only been one team in 6 games now that have won 7 games that have won in these series. But in any case, Boston was down. They're the defending champions, 2-0. So they had a big weekend win, like we were kind of saying to the Knicks. And then also tonight we've got Minnesota and Golden State. Minnesota is up 2-1. What's important in that is still Steph Curry's health. He's expected still to be out here. So a big game for Golden State tonight. Obviously, Minnesota franchise that I think people have tracked maybe here from being in the Midwest, not necessarily usually in the conversation. So it could be a big night for Minnesota as well. NBA lottery tonight, by the way, but also in as we look over in the other side of things. Well, I guess that was the East and West, so I didn't do that perfectly. But also OKC defeated Cleveland to tie that. Defeated Denver to tie that series at 2-2. That seems to be the best, most competitive series at this point. OKC, the number 1 seed, only 14 losses all season long in the regular season. Very young, but obviously very good. And then and they'll probably have the MVP of the league in Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Him, along with Nikola Jokic and Giannis Antetokounmpo, were all named finals for the MVP there. But obviously Denver won a couple years ago, so that's a big series. And then yesterday, 129-109 Pacers topped the Cavs. The Cavs were the number 1 seed in the East, so it could be a bit surprising to see the Cavs where they are now down 3-1 in that series. Pacers tied an NBA playoff record with a 41-point halftime lead, so it looks like the Pacers are going to cruise into the Eastern Conference Finals, but they still got to win one more game.
You know, it's interesting. Yeah. So the Celtics, they pulled within 2-1, like you said. Minnesota is up 2-1 over the Golden State Warriors, as you mentioned. The most competitive series, I agree, is OKC and the Denver Nuggets, tied at 2-2. OKC, like you said, was number one seed. They've been able to tie the series. I think OKC is going to pull it out. The Nuggets, didn't they just fire their coach and GM? And they're bouncing back really well against the number one seed. But I do think OKC will pull that out. I'm with you. The Cavs, I talked about them at one point earlier this year. How all anybody wants to talk about is the Lakers and LeBron James and Bronny James and all this and that. It's like a month and a half ago. And I'm like, the Cavs are like the best team in the East right now. The problem is they're down 3-1 to the Pacers, and it doesn't look great. All right, we'll see what happens there. It's interesting. And whenever I think of the Knicks, I can't get out of my head John Starks, Patrick Ewing, the teams that I watched growing up. And it's been so long, with all due respect, since the Knicks have been good. There's not a whole lot of memories in between there or things to remember, I would say, when it comes to the Knicks. So it always comes back to Starks and Ewing and Mason and a lot of those other guys that were on those teams. And so I'm like, with all due respect, Jake, I'm rooting for the Knicks. We need the Knicks to be good again. That's just my humble opinion. I do think one mistake the NBA has made. As we all know, the NBA ratings are down. It's not as popular as it once was. It's not even freaking close, to be honest with you. We can talk about the three-point shooting. We can talk about how guys maybe don't seem to want to compete and they'd rather play with their friends than compete against each other to see who's better. I don't think there's the same intensity as there once was. The flopping, the stacking of teams per se. But I think a major mistake that the NBA has made when it just comes to marketing the league through which games and players they feature, they're like, Lakers, number one brand, put them on TV. LeBron James, biggest name we have, put them on TV. Here's that's kind of their general overarching, like on Christmas Day, you're going to see these same teams that you've seen for years, and it seems to be the same, with all due respect, aging players. Like when you talk about a particular player probably going to win the MVP award, say his name again.
Shai Gilgeous-Alexander.
I wonder how many people out there even have any idea who that is. Okay, so for me, if I'm the NBA, I'm looking ahead to who the upcoming stars are. And I'm trying to feature those guys because they have not conditioned their audience at all to watch the teams that are still left in the playoffs. Like people hear the Celtics and they're like, okay, I know that. They just won last year. The Knicks, they used to be good at least, but the Timberwolves, and you start thinking about even the Cavs are the number one seed, and you start looking around at these teams that are going to be left in these Eastern and Western Conference finals, or at least the teams you expect to be there. Even the Oklahoma City Thunder. Like, my mind still goes Russell Westbrook and James Harden and Kevin Durant, even though that was ages ago because they're never featured. The probable MVP of the league is not put in prominent spots on TV. The top seeds. I wonder how many people even knew Cleveland was the number one seed in the East, whether they come back from this 3-1 deficit they have to the Pacers or not. If you're the NBA, you have to feature your upcoming players, your rising stars. You don't have a draft that people are dying to tune into anymore. Okay, you've got the one and dones in college, which a lot of those guys haven't developed into your stars. It's been a lot of the guys that have come over from Europe, which you're not going to have any idea who they are before they come to the NBA. So you don't have ready-made stars out of college. You don't have recognizable names right out of high school. Like I knew who LeBron and Kobe were out of high school. Your better players seem to be coming over from Europe, which is perfectly fine, but people aren't familiar with who they are. The most recognizable player from Europe that I ever knew of was Tony Kukoc. And I know a lot of these names are from a long time ago, but that's because the popularity of the NBA is failing. They're not conditioning their audience to, hey, these are the up-and-coming stars. Get used to watching them. They're hanging on to guys who may not even be around in a couple of years because they may retire, and franchises who aren't even in the playoffs anymore. So now when you get to the deep into the playoffs, it's like, well, I don't know who's on the Thunder. I haven't watched the Cavs all year. The Timberwolves, what? Okay, it's kind of like, unless you're Jake who watches it a ton, me who tunes in at this time of year, I don't watch it a ton until this time of year. Most folks are going to be like, there's no brand recognition. There's no player recognition. I have no interest. I'm not been conditioned to watch any of these teams. This is not that interesting to me. Does that make sense to you, Jake? I feel the way that they've chosen to spotlight certain players, spotlight certain teams is actually hurting the NBA, because when you get to playoff time and finals time and big name MVP and big name recognition time, like I know who that player is, it just doesn't exist in the NBA because it's like the WWE when Hulk Hogan used to come back and he'd be featured, or The Rock to this day still comes back. He's a little bit of an outlier because of the Hollywood thing. But old-time wrestlers would come back and they'd be featured, and the guys that were there week in and week out, all of a sudden when WrestleMania is over and the big-time names go away, I'm less interested because the guy I'm watching on Monday Night Raw for the next 6 weeks or 6 months, he just lost to the guy that's like not going to come back for a year. So it's almost like you condition the audience for a long time to watch these big names, these old-time names in wrestling, and when they go away, I'm not as interested in the current product. It's similar with the NBA, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's interesting. There's a lot of things to kind of break down the NBA. It has done a good job of kind of becoming a global game. And so, there are some sides of it that can be good, but altogether it is, there is like you said, there's a problem, maybe with, a lot of folks, relating to some of these NBA players, but, it is also, for a long time, and in the NFL, it doesn't matter as much because the NFL is going to draw numbers one way or the other, but the NBA over the last 10 years was most popular when Cleveland and Golden State were going at it year and year. And yeah, so we kind of talk about these dynasties. And sometimes, I remember during those years, it was like, why do we even play? It's just going to be Cleveland and Golden State. So there's always something to complain about, but that's when people were interested. And dynasties generally are good for any sport. And so I think the NBA is a little bit hurting because of that. Last 5 years, you'd have had a different champion, which is good as far as like building stars to a degree, like getting everybody an opportunity. But the NBA is not, it's not the shield. It's not protect the shield. It's build up your stars and run with them. And obviously with LeBron, you've just had mostly not the greatest returns in LA. So it kind of feels like a drop off from when he was competing in Cleveland. Obviously, when he was in Miami or whatever, and they did win one title here with Los Angeles, but it does feel like that's can be the problem when you drive your stars so high and there's 2 or 3 guys that are kind of driving the sport's interest. Once they leave the playoffs, some people can tune out. So it's kind of interesting. Even Steph Curry, that's what I kind of mentioned. It's obviously bad for Golden State, but that's still a name that people will turn the TV on to go check out. I don't know, like you said, with SGA or, Jalen Brunson. These are good names, in NBA circles, but I don't know if they kind of get the general sports fan drawn to the TV.
Let's be honest, there's name brand recognition to the playoffs and big time stars. Like, it's weird to say, but the NBA needs stars. They need to either develop stars by how they feature certain players, like who's on the Christmas Day game and who's on primetime games and things of that nature, or they need stars to develop, and then they need to be recognized a little bit more. Otherwise, people aren't going to pay attention because they don't have familiarity with what's going on. Oh, these are the 2 best teams in the NBA. I don't know anything about them. I think I heard of that Giannis guy 5 years ago, but I don't really, he's the Greek freak or something. But other than that, I don't really know anything. If I'm the casual fan, so to speak. The reason the NFL is doing so well in popularity, and if they're not careful, again, there's a light at the end of the tunnel for college football. I just don't know how long the tunnel is away. If they're not careful, they're going to damage college football, which will then trend upward to the NFL, and I'll explain why. It used to be you'd follow high school recruiting. I would dare say high school recruiting for college football was probably followed more closely than the Major League Baseball draft. And that's not meant to be disrespectful. But people I knew were more familiar with players coming out of high school to college football than players who were being drafted into pro baseball. And then those players are in college football for 3 years, so you get to know them. You become well-versed in them, and you follow their career, and you feel an attachment to them. Now it's a little bit harder with players bouncing from team to team, the transfer portal and all that, which is what I'm talking about with college football. Has got to be careful. I do see hope in the future at some point. And then you'd have ready-made stars that went right into the NFL, which is why the NFL draft is its own entertainment megastorm. It really is. People tune in to watch I read, what stat did I read? I forget. I read it a week ago. More people tuned in to watch the NFL draft than the NBA Finals last year. Do you remember when I read that? I don't have the stat in front of me again. But more people watched guys' names be announced than a championship, a world championship being fought for. And it's because of the familiarity. It's because you followed their journey. It's because you know who they are. It's because they've been featured more properly. And so then they go into the NFL. You've got ready-made stars. A Travis Hunter clip from OTAs right now may get as many views as a game-winning jumper in a random NBA playoff game right now. That's not meant as a disrespectful thing. I actually would prefer it was different. To me, the way the NFL has things structured, starting with high school, then into college, and then you've got ready-made stars that go into the NFL, that's one of the major reasons it's doing so well. I think the one and done is hurting college basketball. I've always thought either just go right out of high school or go 2 years like they used to do. I've always thought 2 years was really good because I think it actually helps the NBA to have more recognizable guys, more ready-made stars coming in. I mentioned Kobe and LeBron earlier. There aren't a whole lot of guys who come out of high school in basketball that are just instantly known. They do happen from time to time. Was Kevin Garnett another guy that came out of high school way back in yesteryear?
Yep.
But see how far I have to go back to remember these things? Of course, the one and done rule's been in effect for about a decade or so. But for me, the way it's built from high school to college to the NBA, how they're featuring guys, and then everything I've mentioned, things I've mentioned in the past is one of the reasons the NBA is struggling. I just don't want it to bleed over into college football. The biggest thing the NBA is missing to me is true intensity from top to bottom. Every time you turn around, there's some sort of reason some guy isn't going hard. We've got the clip that we've held on to for like 2 or 3 months. And maybe we'll just play it tomorrow, or maybe we can play it the next segment. I don't know. You've got it. I know you've got it ready, but basically Shaq is basically it was Jimmy Butler before he went to Golden State, right?
Yeah.
Like he's going to get paid like $50 million or something this year. And Shaq was like, he wants to be traded. He shouldn't go hard. And that just blew my mind. Like for $50 million, whether you want to be traded or not, you have to try to figure out if you want to go hard. The overall issue is a lack of recognizability from the consumer, the fans' point of view. I don't know who these players are. And then when you tune in, I don't have a reason to stay engaged because you've got load management, because you've got these super teams, because you've got guys, again, it comes across they'd rather play with their friends than find out who the better team is and fight for a championship. There's a lack of overall intensity to the same level that it once was. There's obviously still players out there who would fit that mold perfectly, but as an overall whole, the intensity isn't the same. So I have a lack of recognizability with certain teams and players when I tune in. Okay, if I'm a normal fan, typical fan, and then, well, they're shooting a bunch of threes. They're not really playing D. And I'm pretty sure they're best friends after they just went into quadruple overtime and had a game winner. The two sides are acting like best friends, like it wasn't that big deal who won and lost. Like, why do I want to stay tuned in and stay engaged? I promise I'm not trying to bury the NBA. College football and the NBA were my two favorite things I watched as a kid. It was number 1 college football. It was number 2 NBA. It was number 3 Major League Baseball. And it was number 4 the NFL. That was my order. 1, 2, 3, and 4. For me, I miss that. I miss wanting to tune in. I remember 96, the Bulls, they end up winning 72 games. They win the championship that year. I want to say they were playing Denver. It was a road game. I can't remember. They were down by 30 at like halftime. And I remember this is a random game, the middle of the season, doesn't really matter who wins or loses. And I remember specifically going and getting a drink, a meal, and sitting in front of the TV because I knew the Bulls were going to come back. The question was, could they come all the way back and win the game? And to this day, they did not win the game. But it was just a random NBA game in the middle of the season. But I went and grabbed food and drink because I'm like, I'm watching. I know Jordan and Pippen are going to make a comeback. And Rodman, are they going to be able to come back and win this seemingly meaningless game in the NBA, which was highly entertaining to me at the time? I can't remember the last time with an NBA regular season game that I've done that and been that into a game. So it's not that I'm trying to slam the NBA. It's I miss that, and I want it again. All right, Jake. What are your thoughts? And then we'll go to take our first break. And then we'll talk Nebraska softball, Nebraska baseball. Look what you did when you brought up Boston.
That's a pretty good deal there. Well, it's just interesting. Again, I just kind of go back to the top. I always go back to the ratings to kind of see what they were. The most watched primetime telecast of 2024. It's crazy. You just go, it goes, 11 deep with the top broadcaster NFL till you get to the presidential debate and then the Oscars. And then more NFL, and then this was, this year of the Summer Olympics. The World Series jumped in 18th because that was Dodgers and Yankees, which is the best possible scenario for the Major League Baseball. So they were able to kind of keep up there. College football jumped in at 23rd with the semifinal game that year. But all this is peppered with NFL everywhere. And then I kind of got to, and this is 2024. Obviously, 2025 is not concluded yet. So, we don't know exactly how all that would shake out. But yet 45, you have the women's college basketball game, South Carolina in Iowa, the championship game there. I had to go all the way down to, I'm still scrolling, but 63rd was the highest rated NBA Finals game.
It's that bad?
Of last year. So, yeah, I mean, and part of it, I think they put it on all these different ways that you can watch it. So it's not all consumed just by the TV product. But obviously that's the biggest way to do it. So, yeah, it's interesting, and that's not just sports; that's everything included. I mentioned the Oscars and stuff like that, and a lot of this was Summer Olympics took a lot of those days as well. But yeah, it's a far way from competing with the top, as is anybody with the NFL. But could be a lot better.
Like I said, I just miss it. I don't know why I have that distinct. I lived in a duplex. Okay, then we got kicked out of that duplex because the lady said the dog and I were ruining the yard. What really happened was Bob, her husband, who was an incredibly nice guy, passed away. She was not so nice, Sharon, and she just wanted us out.
Whoa, calling out the names.
She lives in Washington, and I didn't say her last name.
Okay.
Nobody's going to know who. She was an older lady when I was 8, okay? So maybe she's still alive. The odds probably are not great, all right? My point is simply, she just wanted us out and conjured up a reason and blamed me and the dog. But then we moved to another duplex, literally five houses or duplex down. I literally just remember carrying all our stuff down the sidewalk and moving it in. But I digress. I have this distinct memory of several, like Kevin Johnson and Barkley and Dan Marley and all them versus the Bulls and Steve Kerr hitting the game winner in Phoenix, Game 6, the pass from Jordan. And I remember, everyone remembers the flu game and the Jordan hitting that game-winning shot, which he did push off, okay, but hitting the game-winning shot to win finals number 6, championship number 6 in Utah. And I remember him making 6 3-pointers and shrugging his shoulders versus Portland and Clyde the Glide Drexler. And I remember him beating the Supersonics and the Glove and Sean Kemp. And I was like a Sonics guy. And I was like, finally, somebody's going to beat him. Never mind. Nobody ever even took him to 7 games. Did you realize that? Nobody ever took the Bulls to 7 games in the finals. That blew me. I have all those memories, and I miss that. I miss it mattering that much. And if it was just me, I'd be like, dang, Adam, smack myself in the face, get your act together, pay attention. It's still great. It's great, but it's not as entertaining, and people aren't tuning in, and it is clearly not just me, and I just miss it. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Again, you never know what we're going to talk about. That was not on the docket for today. But like I said, this is the time of year when I tune into the NBA a little bit more or a lot of bit more and pay a lot of attention. We will be talking more NBA stuff, especially as the finals get closer. But when we come back, the aforementioned Nebraska softball and Nebraska baseball. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Authentic Mexican food is not always easy to find, but you can find it in Lincoln at Tacos Los Hermanos. Their birria tacos are worth the drive from anywhere in town, but their chicken, chorizo, al pastor, and asada tacos are also worth the trip. You can also try any of those meats in a burrito or quesadilla. You won't find a better toppings bar in the area or better dessert options. If you can't get there, don't worry, they do deliver as well. Stop by Tacos Los Hermanos for lunch or dinner today at 70th and Havelock Streets in Lincoln.
Hi, Sean Callahan here for Cobble Chevrolet GMC, and they're having the biggest hail sale they've ever had. A huge opportunity is at your front door right now. Some of these cars we're fixing, some we're not, and some it's totally up to you. New Sierra starting at $15,000 off list. New Canyons at $8,500 off list. New body styles on the Acadias, $3,000 off list. You need to hurry as there's going to be a lot of people heading to Louisville. Check us out at cobblecars.com. Stock numbers G121492, G1877747, and G1965999.
93.7 The Ticket. Fox KFXL weather. Brought to you by Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing.
Your Lincoln forecast for today. We'll see lots of sunshine with a light breeze. It'll be warm with an afternoon high near 87. Tonight, clear skies and light winds, a low near 58. And tomorrow, we'll see lots of sunshine. It'll be breezy and warm with an afternoon high near 91. I'm meteorologist Kyle Fletcher for 93.7 The Ticket. and theticketfm.com.
Several irrigation contractors in Lincoln go out of business every year, leaving sprinkler system orphans begging for service. The folks at Judson Irrigation shed a tear for these little fellas. They've been coddling these orphans for more than 40 years. From redesign, repairing, replacing, and restoring, remember the Judson Irrigation Orphanage.
Call the Judson Irrigation Orphanage 402-420-6277 or judsonirrigation.com.
You grew up on cereal for breakfast and you graduated into drinking coffee at some point as an adult. Now there's a place in Lincoln where you can stay caffeinated but eat like you used to. Control Coffee and Cereal Bar brings Saturday morning vibes to every day with locally roasted specialty coffees, Lotus energy drinks, and tons of breakfast cereals with toppings. And did we mention they have video games to play while you're there too? Control Coffee and Cereal Bar open 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday and 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. on the weekends at 15th and Pine Lake.
At Allo, we go beyond internet, bringing you faster speeds backed by an all-fiber network. We go beyond TV and phone service, delivering reliable, crystal clear connections. We go beyond customer service with local teammates and no robots for a hassle-free experience. We go beyond value, offering transparent prices with no contracts, hidden fees, or data caps. We even go beyond our office doors by working, hiring, volunteering, and living in the communities we serve. Go beyond fiber. Sign up today at allofiber.com.
Mike, the insurance company wants us to replace the roof.
Wait, what? I thought everything was fine.
Yeah, it says right here our roof is too old and they won't be able to cover us anymore.
I guess it is 15 years old. Hi, I'm Austin with Roofing Service Company. We help homeowners with their roofing and siding projects. Financing options are available, and we can get you under a new roof no time at all. If this sounds like you, visit roofingservicecompany.com. That is roofingservicecompany.com.
In dealing with the high interest rates, it's very important that you get as much bang for the buck. And that's what our Remington Homes is all about.
Bob Benish of Aspen Builders, talking about Remington Homes, which makes the home building process easier and more affordable.
People really enjoy being able to go to our website, which is remingtonlincoln.com, pick a plan, pick a price point, go through and build it yourself. You have a lot of options, whether you want granite, whether you want painted trim or other upgrades. Those are all options with our Remington Homes. People do not want to be married to their house payment. They want to get a nice house with nice finishes in a great area for an affordable price. And that's what Remington Homes are all about.
Home building is easier with a Remington home from Aspen Builders at 423-6811. Online at remingtonlincoln.com. remingtonlincoln.com.
This is Bill Mitchner, Executive Director of Lincoln Lighthouse. Did you know Lighthouse provides multiple programs for students such as one-on-one tutoring and mentoring, as well as pro-social skill exercises, while providing them a nourishing meal and a safe space during all months of the year, even during school breaks? Learn more or contribute to Lighthouse at lincolnlighthouse.org today.
Are you ready for a new opportunity? Check out Sandhills Global. Join a dynamic team where your skills are valued and your career can soar. We offer full-time positions with a 4.5-day work week, competitive pay, excellent benefits, and a positive work environment. From IT and marketing to sales and finance, we're looking for talented individuals like you. Apply today at sandhills.jobs and take the first step towards an exciting future. That's sandhills.jobs. Don't wait. Apply now.
This is the Adam Carriker Show on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Isn't this what you asked for? You asked for growth, so life gave you discomfort. You asked for success, so it demanded sacrifice. You can't have one without the other. More opportunity means more responsibility. More ambition means less free time. Every choice comes with a cost. You can't chase a dream and cling to your old life. You can't ask for greatness and expect easiness. So when the weight feels heavy, when the sacrifice stacks up, remember, this isn't punishment. This is the price. You know who put that out on X, Jake?
Who did that?
Steve Sarkisian.
Okay.
Does this look at you? You're like, oh, do I have to root for Gag Me You now? I thought that was a great post, though. I really like that. A lot of truth to that. All right. Nebraska softball, number 2 seed in the Baton Rouge Regional. All right, number 1 is LSU. Number 2 is Nebraska. Number 3 is UConn. They got a pretty solid lineup. They can score some runs there. The Connecticut Huskies, all right, 35-17 in the Big East was their record, the Big East champions. And the number 4 seed is Southeast Louisiana. Now, Nebraska will take on the Huskies of Connecticut this Friday, 2 p.m. Central Time. Louisiana will take on Southeast Louisiana as well. And the Nebraska softball team, number 19 in the country, finished 39-13 as well. Now, we've talked about this a few times. They've set a lot of records when it comes to home runs, when it comes to attendance, when it comes to, frankly, just blowing the teams out. All right. So they got a good chance to make a deep run. Obviously, with Jordy on the mound, you have a chance to beat anybody on any given day. Ava Kuzak, some of the total, has played really, really well. First team all Big Ten. Now, the game versus UConn will be streamed on ESPN Plus and can be heard across the Huskers radio network as well. Friday would be the 3rd meeting all time between Nebraska and UConn in softball. The Huskies received an automatic bid after defeating Creighton to win the Big East tournament. Nebraska travels to Baton Rouge, like I mentioned. Or actually, they traveled to Baton Rouge Regional in 2015 and went 1-2. Now, this is Nebraska's 27th NCAA tournament appearance in program history and 23rd in the last 30 years. This is also Nebraska's 23rd NCAA tournament appearance under head coach Rhonda Revelle. Revelle's 23 NCAA tournament appearances ranked 4th among active coaches at their current school. The Huskers ranked 14th all-time in NCAA tournament appearances, 20th in wins, 65, and 14th in Women's College World Series. All right, with 7. LSU, the number 1 seed, as I mentioned, 41-14 on the season, will take on the number 10 overall seed, the NCAA tournament, Southeastern Louisiana, who is 30-20 on the season as well. All right, Jake, what are your thoughts on this? Would you have rather played Creighton? Because the first thing I thought of when I found out that UConn beat Creighton for the Big East championship, I was like, oh, we could have played Creighton. Would you have rather have played Creighton? And either way, what do you think Nebraska softball can do this postseason? What do you think they will do?
Well, Omaha didn't make the tournament, so we got to give them credit for that. Shout out to anybody in Nebraska besides Creighton. But no, I'm happy. I'm happy seeing Creighton getting run ruled, and it's an interesting match. Obviously, with that type of stakes on the line, that would have been fun, sure. But ultimately, I like where Nebraska is, and I'll tell you what, I'm sure LSU's not happy and not liking where Nebraska is. With Jordy Ball coming into their regional. So it should be fun. Obviously, Nebraska has had a season that's been kind of straightforward as far as the expectations going into a lot of these games. They've beat a lot of the teams, mostly run ruled a lot of the teams that they're supposed to, and struggled a little bit against the top level teams. And LSU is going to be one of those teams. So, UConn, you expect to beat. I don't have a whole lot of fear about it because they've taken care of a lot of the teams that they're supposed to beat. Now, obviously, any team you're playing at this time is an NCAA tournament team, so they deserve to be here as well. So you don't just want to take it and say they're definitely going to get a victory, but I'm feeling like we're going to get Nebraska LSU out of this regional to fight to get to the super regional, and for the winner of that will take on the winner of the Knoxville regional. It's looking like Tennessee, but at some point, Nebraska, if they're going to make their first Women's College World Series since 2013. Going to have to punch up a little bit, and so whether that's it's going to have to be LSU. I mean, now we know who it is, so we'll see what happens. Just by the nature of how it is set up, they're not favored to do it, so I wouldn't necessarily hold my expectation to do it. But this is the time to go on a run, and like I said, I'm sure LSU's not happy because anytime you get Jordy Ball on the mound, anything can happen. I mean, you're going to have a tough time getting runs by, so. Anything can happen in these games. Nebraska's just going to have to prove they can punch up like they did a little bit early in the season. Kind of struggled to do so since. If you didn't follow the Big Ten tournament, you might have seen okay, well, UCLA, that's a tough, it was one of those deals where it's yeah, they lost, but, UCLA is really good, and that's understandable. The 8th seed Michigan, and the next day punched up and won there. So you just got to be able to do it.
Yeah, you never know what can happen. And Jordy Ball, I know this isn't the Women's College World Series. You know her Women's College World Series ERA is under 1. Like 0.7 or something like that when I last saw it. That's crazy. So my point is, she's used to doing big time things in big time situations and frankly pressure situations as well. It's not going to be anything new for her. So anytime she's on the mound, Nebraska's capable of beating anybody, anytime, anywhere. You got that puncher's chance, and also they're a really good team in general. You go to, I think this is a team, yeah, you expect the regional to come down to LSU, Nebraska. You never know what can happen. Anything can happen on any given day. We all know that, but you expect it to come down to LSU, Nebraska, and this Nebraska team has as good a chance as anybody to make a deep run into the postseason. All right, you go to baseball now. They have won 4 consecutive weekend series. They obviously fell short on Sunday versus Michigan, but they'd already wrapped up the series victory by winning the first 2 games Friday and Saturday. In fact, on Saturday, Case Sanderson drilled a first pitch 3-run walk-off home run into the parking lot beyond right field in the bottom of the 9th inning, lifting the Huskers to a 5-2 win over Michigan, again on Saturday afternoon in front of nearly 6,000 fans at the Hawks Field at Haymarket Park. Nebraska, after Sunday, is currently 26-26 on the season. Now on Saturday, they scored 5 runs on 6 hits, while Michigan, who's 31-19 on the season, 32-19 on the season, total 2 runs on 5 hits. Now Sanderson Saturday led the Huskers at the plate, going 2 for 4, a home run and 3 RBIs. Riley Silva had a 2 for 4 afternoon, while Hogan Helgeso was 1 for 3 with a homer and 2 RBI. Dylan Carey was 1 for 3 with a double and run scored. Ty Horn tossed 6 strong innings, allowed 2 runs on 4 hits with 4 punch-outs and a pair of walks. All right, Will Wash pitched 2 1/3 innings in relief and retired all 7 batters while recording 3 strikeouts. Luke Broderick improved to 3-2 on the year after recording 2 outs in the top of the 9th inning. All right, you go to Sunday's game, a game in which the Huskers were edged out by Michigan. Michigan scored the go-ahead run in the top of the 8th inning and added 1 more in the 9th in Nebraska's 3-1 loss to the Wolverines on a Sunday afternoon at Hawks Field at Haymarket Park. All right, Joshua Overbeek was 3 for 5 with a double and an RBI, and Riley Silva, Caden Brumbaugh, Dylan Carey, and Hogan Helgeso tallied 1 hit apiece as well. Jackson Brockett pitched 5 1/3 innings, allowing 1 run on 2 hits and 3 strikeouts and a walk. Drew Christo dropped to 1-2 on the season after surrendering a run on 3 hits with a pair of punch-outs and a walk and 2 2/3 inning of work in his own right. All right, so Nebraska takes 2 out of 3 from Michigan, back to 500 on the season, just under 500 in Big Ten play, 13-14. They just got to get in. Like, it really comes down to they seem to be at least hitting their stride. I wouldn't call them hot, so to speak, but they're getting warm. They're like getting warm. And all you got to do is get into the Big Ten tournament, which right now they are slated to do. And they basically got to win the whole thing. Let's be real. They got to win the whole thing to get into the NCAA tournament, which they have as good a chance of, I know it sounds stupid, they have a good a chance of anybody to do it based on experience, returning talent, and ability and potential. With Nebraska baseball, the ceiling is high. As we've learned, the floor is also lower than you would like, so it could go either way. But it really doesn't matter. If you end up number 2 in the Big Ten tournament and you're Nebraska right now, you might as well be number 5,000 because either way you're not getting the NCAA tournament. You're either going to win the whole thing and move on, or you're going to be done just with where your record is right now as an overall whole and in the Big Ten Conference. I'm not going to sit here and predict that they're going to win the Big Ten tournament, but I'm certainly going to be tuning in to a team, again, last year who won this thing. A lot of guys coming back, an experienced head coach, predicted before the season to play Oregon in the Big Ten tournament championship. You never know what can happen. I mean, this is baseball. Baseball and softball, teams get hot. I mean, the Royals were god-awful. Now they won 15 of the last 17 games, and all of a sudden they're in second place in their division. Baseball is one of those sports. It's so up and down. I've had several people tell me over the years, it's a sport like Major League Baseball, as an example. You are typically going to win about a third of your games. You're going to lose about a third of your games. It's that, like, by a decent amount. Like, you're going to lose by 2 to 3 runs or more. You're going to win by 2 to 3 runs or more. It's that middle third. It's that middle third and how often you win those games that determines whether you're below average, average, above average, good, great, or awful. Okay, it's usually that middle third. That's how baseball works. So we'll see how the rest of this regular season pans out for the Huskers, how the Big Ten tournament, I'm assuming they're going to hold strong and get into it, and how it pans out for them. What are your thoughts, Jake?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. If you kind of go with the season at a whole, it obviously wasn't the season that people expected, but you got to be proud of these guys. for what they've been able to turn this into, to give Nebraska a chance here. Like you said, I mean, NCAA tournament, you got to win the whole thing. So it's going to be, I mean, that would be a magical run. Obviously, everybody hopes their team does that. But I just want to see them get in and fight and give it an opportunity. And that was not given. That's not given going into this weekend. It wasn't given going into last weekend. But they've just really been able to turn around and fight out and scratch and crawl and get these wins. Now tied for 9th in the Big Ten standings. Purdue coming up. Purdue's season is even more dire than Nebraska. They're less likely to even get into the Big Ten tournament. So win the games that you're supposed to here in West Lafayette Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. At least 2 out of 3, right? Like that's kind of been the deal that Nebraska's been doing to get back into this deal. And then, like we said, Michigan just from the 8th seed of the softball side won. So why couldn't a 9th seed Nebraska, or if they move up in that area, have an opportunity? They certainly will. But I wouldn't hold that to be the whether. It's tough to say whether they have a successful season or not. Do they make the NCAA tournament? Because from the season's beginning, that's where it would be. But kind of mid-season on, if you adjusted those, then I think Nebraska's been, like you said, maybe not hot, not red hot, but has really done an admirable job of giving themselves an opportunity. So, I don't know if I'm too NCAA hopeful for them, but I'm excited to see if they can make some noise in the Big Ten tournament.
I think you hit the nail on the head. Before the season, it would have been like, why wouldn't they make the NCAA tournament? Of course they're going to make the NCAA tournament. Like, that would have been like at least the bottom of the barrel, like the floor of the barometer of success. Now it's like, can you make some noise in the Big Ten tournament? No, the season as a whole may not have gone the way you wanted, but at least you can show some heart, some resiliency. Like you're moving in the right direction, which is reasons for positivity and optimism in the future, and something to be frankly proud of. Instead of just going completely the opposite direction, you found a way to bounce back, even if they don't make the NCAA tournament. All right, real quick, 2 quick notes before we head to break. Big Ten softball has now set a record this year with the amount of Big Ten teams heading in to regionals. They have 8 teams: Indiana, Michigan, Nebraska, Northwestern, Ohio State, Oregon, UCLA, and Washington. 3 of those 4 teams are our new West Coast buddies. All right. And are you aware? This actually hurts me. Like when I was growing up, you got to remember, I was born in Hastings when I was 3. My dad's job took him upstate of Washington, so I grew up on the West Coast. So my 3 favorite teams, all summer long, the 2 teams that were on the TV almost every single day were the Cubs and WGN and the Braves on TBS. Never got into the Cubs. Don't know why. I don't care. Braves, Seattle Mariners, and for whatever reason, the Colorado Rockies. I think when I was a kid, the Royals were really, really bad, if I remember right.
Yeah, sounds about right.
Yeah, like the Rockies had like Larry Walker and a bunch of other guys, and the ball jumps off the bat, lots of home runs. By the way, if you've ever been to that park, beautiful park. Absolutely beautiful park. All right. Do you have any idea how bad the Rockies are right now, though? Like, my good Lord.
Yeah.
Okay. So the 2024 White Sox have the worst regular season record in the history of the Major League Baseball. All right. So after 39 games, here's how the 2025 Rockies compare. Think about how many seasons of Major League Baseball there are. The White Sox last year were the worst ever. This is how this year's Rockies compare to last year's White Sox through 39 games. Last year at this time, after 39 games, the White Sox were 11-28. Right now, the Rockies are 6-39. The run differential for the White Sox at this time last year was minus 85 runs. For the Rockies, it's minus 134 runs. This isn't the Major League average that I'm comparing the Rockies to. I'm comparing them to the worst team in history right now. The team ERA for the White Sox was 4.75. The team ERA for the Rockies is 5.89. If you aren't aware, ladies and gentlemen, that is beyond bad. That is just really awful. And I still like the Rockies. I still root for the Rockies. Now that we're back in Lincoln, I pay way more attention to the Royals now than I ever have, and I've kind of become disconnected from the Mariners. I'd probably say Rockies, Royals, and I've kind of become disconnected from the Braves. You know, I don't just sit around like I did in the summer sometimes as a kid watching TBS all day or whatever. But for me, this is actually kind of hard for me, but it's almost like unbelievably unbelievable that they could struggle this much. Like, good Lord Almighty.
What happened to your third of the games? Is there this, the third of the game? That's not Rockies math.
That wasn't me. That's what I was told by numerous people.
Oh,
okay, to be clear. No. The Rockies are like 90% suck, 5% we have a chance to win, 5% we actually win. And I may be being kind with the 5% if I actually sit down and do this math. Goodness gracious. All right, ladies and gentlemen, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
At Parkview Animal Hospital in Lincoln, it's not just their professional care that sets them apart, but their warm staff and state-of-the-art facilities. Whether it's for a routine checkup or a comprehensive medical procedure, at Parkview, your pet isn't just another number, but a valued member of their caring family. Visit them at pahlincoln.com today and in person just south of 14th and Pine Lake Road. Parkview Animal Hospital, your pet, their passion for happier, healthier, furry friends.
This is Bill Mitchner, Executive Director of Lincoln Lighthouse. Did you know Lighthouse provides multiple programs for students such as one-on-one tutoring and mentoring, as well as pro-social skill exercises, while providing them a nourishing meal and a safe space during all months of the year, even during school breaks? Learn more or contribute to Lighthouse at lincolnlighthouse.org today.
Don't go rushing to your big box store. Play It Again Sports is your place to go for all spring sports equipment for baseball, softball, golf, and disc golf. Play It Again Sports has quality, slightly to gently used equipment, and 50% of their inventory is actually new equipment. And don't forget, buying from them is a great way to get new products with great discounts by also bringing in your used items for store credit or cash on the spot. Play It Again Sports at 48th and Vine.
Hey guys, it's your girl Jordan from Sartor Heyman Jewelers. Have an anniversary coming up? I've got you covered. Celebrate your love with the timeless elegance of jewelry. This anniversary, give the gift of sapphires, emeralds, rubies, or gold. Find the perfect piece that reflects the beauty and depth of your commitment. Whether it's your first anniversary or your 50th, surprise your loved one with a gem as beautiful and rare as she is. Until next time, this is Jordan at Sartor Heyman Jewelry. Happy shopping, guys.
Authentic Mexican food is not always easy to find, but you can find it in Lincoln at Tacos Los Hermanos. Their birria tacos are worth the drive from anywhere in town, but their chicken, chorizo, al pastor, and asada tacos are also worth the trip. You can also try any of those meats in a burrito or quesadilla. You won't find a better toppings bar in the area or better dessert options. If you can't get there, don't worry, they do deliver as well. Stop by Tacos Los Hermanos for lunch or dinner today at 70th and Havelock Streets in Lincoln.
Several irrigation contractors in Lincoln go out of business every year, leaving sprinkler system orphans begging for service. The folks at Judson Irrigation shed a tear for these little fellas. They've been coddling these orphans for more than 40 years. From redesign, repairing, replacing, and restoring, remember the Judson Irrigation Orphanage.
Call the Judson Irrigation Orphanage 402-420-6277 or judsonirrigation.com.
Hey, I like your new car.
Thanks.
Could you stop at this coffee shop? I need a cup of joe.
Press that little red button.
Hey, an entire coffee machine just came out of your dashboard.
Yep.
More things should be built in, like the multiplier in Mega Millions from your Nebraska lottery. It's one of the new enhancements to the game, along with bigger jackpots and better odds.
Oh, that coffee is a little strong.
Press the blue button.
What's that?
Cream dispenser.
$5 Mega Millions top prize odds, 1 in 290 million.
Get ready for the largest dirt late model event in Nebraska, race fans. The Lucas Oil Late Model Dirt Series is heading to Eagle Raceway's High Bank Heist on Thursday, May 15th through Saturday, May 17th. See the greatest dirt late model stars in the country compete for $10,000 to win on both Thursday and Friday, and an enormous $50,000 to win 75-lap main event on Saturday. The High Bank Heist, May 15th through May 17th at Eagle Raceway. For more info, visit eagleraceway.com. Let's go Lucas Oil Late Model Racing. Eagle Raceway, just 10 miles east of Lincoln on O Street. Take control of your health with the DASH scan at Advanced Medical Imaging. The DASH scan is a full-body MRI designed for advanced health screening. This dynamic approach provides exceptionally sharp images across multiple organ systems, helping to detect potential concerns early. With minimal radiation and no invasive procedures, the DASH scan offers a safe, comprehensive look at your health. Plus, results are delivered faster than ever, giving both patients and physicians confidence in screening and diagnosis. Your health is too important to wait. Schedule your DASH scan today at Advanced Medical Imaging. Visit amimaging.com or call 402-484-6677 to learn more.
McKinney's Irish Pub in the Haymarket is your place for English Premier League soccer.
On Saturday, May 10th, Wolves plays Brighton at 9 a.m., followed by Bournemouth versus Aston Villa at 11:30 a.m. On Sunday, Man United plays West Ham at 8:15 a.m., followed by Liverpool versus Arsenal at 10:30 a.m. Liverpool currently leads the standings with 82 points. You can find all this and more at McKinney's Irish Pub in the Haymarket, your place for English Premier League soccer, located at 8th and P.
Are you ready for a new opportunity? Check out Sandhills Global. Join a dynamic team where your skills are valued and your career can soar. We offer full-time positions with a 4.5-day work week, competitive pay, excellent benefits, and a positive work environment. From IT and marketing to sales and finance, we're looking for talented individuals like you. Apply today at sandhills.jobs and take the first step towards an exciting future. That's sandhills.jobs. Don't wait, apply now.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com. On the internet. KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket. This is the Adam Carriker Show on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Boom! Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Adam Carriker Show here on 93.7 The Ticket. All right, Jake, are you ready for a little bit of positivity followed by a little bit of controversy?
Those are my two favorite things, yeah.
Two of your favorite things. All right. Let me pull it up here. Now let's start with the positivity. You probably saw this. This thing was freaking everywhere. But Travis Hunter, okay, we'll start with this. Travis Hunter played 776 defensive snaps last year and only allowed 23 catches and a touchdown. Were you aware of that?
I didn't know those exact numbers. That's pretty impressive.
So he probably, I don't know his offensive snaps. He probably played over 1,500 snaps last year. That's crazy. And he didn't win the Thorpe Award, I might add, which, as we all know, Dion was not happy about. All right. Let's see. Sandy Hawkins Combs put this out on social media, and it was everywhere. She said, I had the most wonderful flight ever. Most wonderful flight home from Denver. I met the nicest young man who sat next to me. He offered to put my bag in the overhead compartment and help me with my tray. He was always polite, saying yes, ma'am, or no, ma'am. Anyone would be proud to have a seat, to have him as a son or grandson. So polite. People walking by were saying and congratulating him, saying, great job, or even taking pictures. I turned and asked him, who am I sitting next to? I looked at his Jaguars pants, smiled, and asked, are you an athlete? He smiled and said, I'm Travis. Yes, I was drafted by the Jags. I already told my sons that I want his jersey. He's so humble, down to earth. I would have never guessed he was a professional athlete. Jacksonville Jags, you did good. I will be buying tickets. United Airlines, thank you for my seat assignment. So this is obviously about Travis Hunter. So I've mentioned several times, you know, there's things about Travis Hunter, the intangibles, the off the field things that, like, to me, when I said I would take him number 1 overall in the draft, I talked about, hey, if you could draft Deion Sanders, you know, why in the world would you pass on him? Why wouldn't you take him with whatever pick you have, or even the number 1 overall pick? But part of that was also a lot of the off the field intangibles. I mean, his GPA is over 3.5. It's darn near 4.0. He already takes care of his body a ton. If you ever watched his weekly routine, from cryotherapy to cold tubbing to everything that he does, from massages, to be able to play that many snaps. And obviously Coach Prime also took care of him in practice as well. But it's one of those things where he's one of those guys, I find it impossible not to root for him beyond just his football talent. It's all the talent. It's all the intangibles. It's everything else that he brings both on and off the field. Did you see this post? And when you see things like this, is it kind of like, man, it's so nice to see some positivity, because what tends to grab headlines is negativity. And it's nice to see things like this as well. I wish we'd see them a lot more often, honestly.
Yeah, and I'm glad you shine a light on it, because I say that, you know, I kind of see that all the time. You know, obviously there's less the debate about is Travis Hunter a good guy? Yeah. So you don't, you know, there's not a whole lot of spinning point, but it is refreshing to kind of hear, you know, somebody down to earth. I mean, this guy, as opposed to others with big heads, maybe even on his own team, you know,
who could you be talking about?
Yeah, that's just throwing somebody out. I don't have anybody in specific.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, no. So that's good to get those reports, because we hear plenty of the opposite.
Okay, so the other end of the spectrum here. I'm sure you saw this as well. There are some folks out there who wonder why people would root for Scott Frost to do well at UCF. And there are some folks who are like, why do we talk about Scott Frost? Why do we even bring him up? Why, like, you're really searching hard for content and clickbait stuff. And I'm like, well, he was interesting at Oregon. I mean, I knew what he was doing at Kansas State because people were talking about him when he was being an assistant coach there. He was obviously very intriguing at UCF, former national championship winning quarterback, former Nebraska head coach. I mean, I look at Bo Pelini, you know, that's a guy I played for him for a year. So that's a guy that's always going to be intriguing to me. And any Nebraska football coach or guy that used to coach here, Solich and any of these guys, or guys who used to play and had success on a rare and unique level, they're going to be intriguing and I think noteworthy and worthy of talking about. I don't want to go down the rabbit hole on this because there's all sorts of thoughts out there. And, you know, there's the quote that I've seen, and I quote, "I'm never going to talk about that," end quote, Scott Frost. And then he inevitably ends up talking about Nebraska without directly naming Nebraska a lot. He talked about, you know, he was happy at UCF. He doesn't come out and say it, but basically wasn't really dying to leave and kind of came to Nebraska because other people wanted him to do it. Which I'll be honest with you, I got that impression at the time. He never said it to me, but I got that impression. Do you remember the picture? I think it was the day of his introductory press conference. He's walking up the stairs into the stadium. Now, it's a freezing cold day in December, okay? But he's kind of like looking down. He's in his suit. The hands are in his pockets, but he's like kind of like looking at the ground. He doesn't, in this one picture, okay, and I've seen other pictures, but this picture always stood out to me. He doesn't look like a guy that's like got a pep in his step and let's light this candle. He looks like a guy that's here because he's supposed to be here. That's how that picture, do you know what picture I'm talking about?
Not specifically, but you described it pretty well.
Like, that's how even at the time, that's how the picture struck me. And I remember, obviously, the press conference that day. I remember all the former players that were in the weight room that day there to support him, you know, and he kind of was like, you know, I welcome all former players supporting ideas unless they're bad ideas, which was actually a pretty funny joke. I don't know. It's tough when people at this point in time, it's kind of like, do we root for Scott Frost? Do we not root for Scott Frost? You know, whatever. And everybody's got different feelings. And some people are like, don't talk about Scott Frost, but he's noteworthy. I'm on the side that he's noteworthy. Like, to me, he's interesting. He was interesting before he was ever our coach for multiple reasons. Okay. As far as rooting for Scott Frost, you know, it's challenging to a degree. Just because things really didn't go well here. There was, you know, maybe not an entire realm of accountability that was taken. At least it feels that way. When I watch what he's doing at UCF, I don't find myself rooting for him or against him. I find myself like, what the hell's going to happen down there? And I'm very curious about it. That's what I find myself thinking. Like, I'm not like, ooh, I hope it doesn't go well, or I hope he does really, really well. I'm just kind of like, what's going to happen? Like, it's just intriguing to me. You know, and there's a bunch of stats, you know, in 6 seasons plus another 3 games, he's only had one team that was above 500, and that was his undefeated season, undefeated team as well. There's all these different things out there. And I've been of the mindset, like, Solich eventually came back. A lot of these guys eventually come back, you know, if things don't go well. Even in WWE, Vince McMahon is one of the most proud, arrogant, pompous people you could ever meet. Yet every single wrestler he ever had an issue with, except for one, came back. Name one that didn't. Now, CM Punk was more Triple H, a little bit of Vince McMahon in there. CM Punk just came back. But you think about the Ultimate Warrior came back, a guy who held him up for more money right before a major pay-per-view at SummerSlam. And he said he would give him more money. The Ultimate Warrior goes out and he has to fire him afterwards because he can't accept that. But he had to give the fans what he had advertised, which was the Warrior and Hogan and all these guys in some sort of a tag match at SummerSlam. I forget exactly what it was. Bruno Sammartino. Those were about as harsh of feelings as you could ever imagine. And if you don't know who that is, think of Austin before Steve Austin. Think of Hulk Hogan before Hulk Hogan. Think of that type of guy. All right. They always would end up coming back. The only guy who didn't was Macho Man Randy Savage. There's a whole bunch of rumor and innuendo about that. Ultimately, he unfortunately passed away, I believe, in a car crash like a decade ago or something like that. So I'm sure that obviously played a role in that. But my point is, I've always been of the mindset that I think one day Scott Frost will come back. I think it's going to be longer than Solich. I think it's going to be longer. I think Husker fans will probably be part of that that picture, if it does develop and come into form, I think Frost has got to be part of that if it does develop and come into form. I think it's going to take longer, and I think part of that is, obviously Frost feels a certain kind of way. There's Husker fans who would be open to it. There's some that wouldn't. I think it's going to take long, like what was Solich, about 20 years? I mean, with Frost, it might be 40 years, but that's an entire generation of people who are going to be like, what's everyone so mad about? Why don't we bring this guy back? And then ultimately at that point, I think it would be up to Frost, in my opinion. I don't know. What are your thoughts on this, Jake? For me, again, I'm not like, ooh, I hope he does really great. I hope he does really bad. I'm just like, what's going to happen? Can he replicate at UCF once again what they did one season down there? They are technically in a Power 4 conference now, not one of the big two, but technically a Power 4 conference, so probably a little bit harder. But I do know he was really, really happy down there at one point. Can they reach that level of success again? What do you think? Should this even be talked about, Jake? And what are your thoughts on it as a whole, in addition to that?
Well, I think it's kind of interesting. A lot of people are going to have their feelings about it, obviously. And I might be a little bit different. Everybody kind of has their different rules or whatever it might be. I still cheer for Bill Callahan. Some people might not, right? So I kind of like the people that have been through the program, even if it doesn't succeed. It usually isn't from a lack of want to. Now, you can argue on Scott Frost a lot of different reasons about why it didn't work out here, but I still kind of think back to him and his playing days. It's kind of the same thing with Trev Alberts. Like, man, these guys just had unbelievable careers. Now, when they pass the player mode and they come back as an AD or as a coach, maybe it didn't quite work out. And but something short of Scott Frost saying screw Jake Bakoven or Nebraska needs to burn alive as a state. I'm
wow.
going to be cheering.
Wow. That escalated quickly.
I'm going to be cheering for Scott Frost. And I don't think he's always makes the best moves, but I'm intrigued too. Like what is the football in totality reaction to if Scott Frost succeeds again at UCF? Is there going to be more interest? Is he going to want to move up? I mean, he kind of already talked about how he shouldn't have left the first time. But to me, what kind of separates it is that it's not like that's what I always kind of think like Pelini. If they would have let Pelini go and he would have went and got a job at, whatever school, but just a major school somewhere in the Big 12, and was having success there, how would people feel? I think there would be like questions back. Should we fired him? Now that he's doing well here, this and that. The Scott Frost, there's no argument to me. I think he had an extended stay longer than what I believe he should have had. I think he probably should have been fired after 4 years. So there's never an idea in my mind of, well, what if you would have had more time, or maybe we should bring him back? No, we've been through that. So I can cheer for him without having any sort of feelings of what does this mean for Nebraska? I already know what it meant. I lived through it. It wasn't good. And Nebraska's moved on, and I hope most people will. But, it's always going to get clicks, always going to get interest, and I'm one of those people clicking because I do still support. I would say I can't really think of any ex-Husker that I'm like, yeah, I just throw them away. I'm not interested in them anymore.
I do think it's interesting. It's obviously polarizing. The folks out there who are like, oh, nothing to talk about. You ever listen to my show? I can't get everything in 2 hours. There's plenty to talk about. All right. And then it's not just my show. It's anybody who has a show or writes an article. There goes the accusations of, oh, you're just trying to get clickbait. I send you the headline before every single show. Now, sometimes you have to tweak it based on amount of characters and does it fit or not fit or whatever. But essentially, you have an idea of what we're going to talk about. Did you have any idea we were going to talk about Frost today?
I did not.
It's not even in the headline of this show. Not on purpose. It's just simply, I want to talk about the O-line, baseball and softball, and that's all the room we had for the characters for the show today. So for the headline for the show today. So for me, if you don't, I don't want to say it's disrespectful if you don't talk about him because now you're almost like ignoring him like he doesn't exist. I don't know that I'm going to take that stance, but I do believe it is noteworthy to be talked about for reasons I've already laid out. I think it's how it's outlined, how things are approached, and what is exactly said. I do think there is kind of this interesting, very passionate fan base. Yes. I remember when I played, if a team came in and beat us in Lincoln, the fans would clap for them, tell them good game as they walked off. So very classy fans. I do think, keeping in mind, not everything that every former player ever does, people are going to love. So, and there's levels to that, I might add. There are levels to that. Let's be clear. Okay. But to me, I'll never be able to disregard that they wore the jersey, they represented the N, and I will never be able to disregard that, barring that they just attacked Jake Bachman. They attacked Jake and they're dead to me.
That's right.
Outside of that, I'd have a hard time, or what'd you say? Tell them the state to burn, which that did escalate quickly. Outside of that, I have a hard time disregarding that. Do we have anything off the text line? Anything from the show so far?
I say you mentioned Frost, and people do have opinions. That's why.
Let's do this. Let's do this because we are 15 minutes late. Let's go to break. I don't know what's on the text line. Don't even tell me during the commercial break. You just pick out what appeals the most to you. We've talked NBA, baseball, softball, Frost, Travis Hunter. We're going to get to the offensive line here in hour 2, and whatever those texts are that you think are the most appealing, and we'll do that when we get back. How's that sound, Jay?
That sounds good.
All right, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Are you ready for a new opportunity? Check out Sandhills Global. Join a dynamic team where your skills are valued and your career can soar. We offer full-time positions with a 4.5-day work week, competitive pay, excellent benefits, and a positive work environment. From IT and marketing to sales and finance, we're looking for talented individuals just like you. Apply today at sandhills.jobs and take the first step towards an exciting future. That's sandhills.jobs. Don't wait, apply now.
Hi, Sean Callahan here for Cobble Chevrolet GMC, and they're having the biggest hail sale they've ever had. A huge opportunity is at your front door right now. Some of these cars we're fixing, some we're not, and some it's totally up to you. New Sierra starting at $15,000 off list. New Canyons at $8,500 off list. New body styles on the Acadias, $3,000 off list. You need to hurry as there's going to be a lot of people heading to Louisville. Check us out at cobblecars.com. Stock numbers G121492, G187747, and G196599.
93.7 The Ticket. Fox KFXL weather. Sponsored by John Henry's Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning.
Your Lincoln forecast for today, we'll see lots of sunshine with a light breeze. It'll be warm with an afternoon high near 87. Tonight, clear skies and light winds, a low near 58. And tomorrow, we'll see lots of sunshine. It'll be breezy and warm with an afternoon high near 91. I'm meteorologist Kyle Fletcher for 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
The electrical workers of Local Union 265 are now hiring licensed journeyman electricians from $32.50 to $42.50 per hour with paid benefits. And if you're looking for a new career, they're hiring apprentices at $19.50 per hour with paid benefits. Call the office at 402-423-4497 to apply. Start your electrical career today.
At Planet Fitness, we're declaring it. This is the year of getting stronger, and you can get started now by saving when you join today. We have all the best-in-class equipment you could ever need, and you can work out your way on your time at any convenient location near you. Most open 24 hours. So let's do this. Join Planet Fitness today and save. Just $1 down, $15 a month.
Find your nearest club and join today. Deal ends Friday, May 16th.
See Home Club for details.
Support Matt Talbot Kitchen and Outreach on Give to Lincoln Day. Your gift will be received by a portion of Lincoln Community Foundation's matching fund. Homelessness is a complex problem facing our community. By working together, we can find solutions. Your donation for Give to Lincoln Day moves us closer to ensuring that everyone in Lincoln has a safe place to sleep at night. Because of your generosity, hope lives here. Give anytime through May 29th at givetolincoln.com.
Take control of your health with the DASH scan at Advanced Medical Imaging. The DASH scan is a full-body MRI designed for advanced health screening. This dynamic approach provides exceptionally sharp images across multiple organ systems, helping to detect potential concerns early. With minimal radiation and no invasive procedures, the DASH scan offers a safe, comprehensive look at your health. Plus, results are delivered faster than ever, giving both patients and physicians confidence in screening and diagnosis. Your health is too important to wait. Schedule your DASH scan today at Advanced Medical Imaging. Visit amimaging.com or call 402-484-6677 to learn more.
It pays to participate in LES Peak Rewards. You can earn a $25 gift card when you enroll your qualified smart thermostat in the program. Help curb electric demand and sign up today at les.com/peak rewards.
Are you looking for an exciting new way to put your skills to work? Explore new career options in the fintech industry at Currency, a Sandhills Global company. We offer full-time positions in financial sales, compliance, operations, and other fields. We also offer a 4.5-day work week, an attractive benefits package, and opportunities for advancement. Put your motivation to work and grow with us at Currency. Visit gocurrency.com/careers to learn more.
This is the Adam Carriker Show.
Position right of the quarterback, out of the shotgun, 1st and 20. Jailbreak screen in the air. It is tipped. It is intercepted by Carriker at the Missouri 21-yard line.
Live from the heart of Lincoln, America, 8-year NFL vet and All-American defensive lineman Adam Carriker.
Shotgun snap to Everett. He's got the left arm going, and now he's got a whole lot of Adam Carriker who rips him down inside the 25-yard line.
On 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Here is your host, Adam Carriker.
Hi, welcome into Hour 2, ladies and gentlemen, the Adam Carriker Show here on 93.7 The Ticket. Check out all things The Ticket at theticketfm.com. Also, your daily friendly reminder, if you're so inclined and or interested, you can register or learn more about the inaugural Carriker Chronicles football camp, the camp that is for the kids, ladies and gentlemen, featuring Eric Crouch, Amon Green, Zach Weger, Kenny Wilhite, and yours truly. A portion of the proceeds from the camp will be donated to local at-risk youth, easy for me to say as well. This is very near and dear to my heart, my wife's heart. Also, we will be donating a portion of the proceeds from the camp to kids abroad. Specifically, there's some great people out there helping build schools for kids who just simply don't have schools. All right, but the camp is for boys and girls, K through 8th grade, here in Lincoln at the LYF Lincoln Youth Football Fields. T-shirts, autographs included, July 9th, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Central Time. All right, CarrikerChronicles.com to learn more and or register. All right, real quick, I know you saw this. You know Jordan Hudson's last boyfriend was 64?
Oh, no, I did not see that.
I'm just saying there's a type. All right, let's move on. I just had to throw that out
She
there.
has a type? Is that
There's
what
a trend. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
All right, I don't know anything else about the guy. Who knows? But all right, let's get to the text line. Apparently, there's been some intrigue.
By the way, Jordan Hudson finished 3rd this week at the Miss Maine. So Maine All American or whatever. She didn't quite win it. But 3rd.
I didn't know she was competing.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, that's awesome.
How do they say it? Miss Maine USA badges. The way
Miss Maine USA.
Yeah.
Never heard that term before, but now it's kind of interesting. All right, I don't have a whole lot to add.
Yeah.
But go ahead.
I just thought that was interesting.
It is interesting.
A couple of thoughts on Scott Frost off the text line. Of course, you can text anytime, 402-464-5685. There's some that I just won't read because they're not appropriate. But Corey says, you need to consider that Solich actually had winning seasons, unlike Frost, literally one of, if not the worst, football coaches in Nebraska history.
When it comes to wins and losses, it'd be hard to argue. I mean, just... I remember saying on a show, I don't know, 3-4 years ago, I'm like, if you look at wins and losses, it's the least successful coaching tenure a Nebraska football coach has had since the 50s. So from a purely numbers, facts standpoint, it is hard to argue that, yes. I've often wondered, we're not going to go down this rabbit hole, but I often wonder what would have happened had Solich not been let go. That's obviously been debated 1,000 times. But that's a fair point. Hard to argue with that.
Yeah, and then some other people, like Eric says, how dare you, Bach, even mention he who shall not be named. Which is somebody that I brought up that maybe have went to Texas. Jesse says, I can't think of any ex-Husker you won't root for right now. What about Trev? So the people are not liking my response that I might not be rooting against Trev. Big Haas says, if I had to take an ex-Husker player that would have to throw away, it would be Sam Keller. So still kind of burnt from that all those years
He didn't
ago.
just say not root for. He said throw away.
That's right.
Wow. Okay, couple things. I know you got a lot of text there. So I have admitted publicly, I have a personal soft spot for Trev Alberts. All right, I do. And part of it is he was always really good to me. But beyond that, I mean, there's a lot of people who are really good to me. But he helped me out a couple of times when I asked for help. Stuff like that matters to me. All right. But the one memory I just can't shake that I will share, when Mickey Joseph was the interim coach. So the last 8 games, what would have been Scott Frost year 5 or whatever, but the last 8 games, we came to a practice. Mickey was great, chatted with him, all that good stuff. Trev walks over. You know, he's the AD. He's got his 3-piece suit, tie, dress shoes. My daughter, who is now 7, I believe was 4 or 5 at the time. And out of nowhere, to Trev, she goes, I can beat you in a race. And I'm just like, where did that come from? Just out of nowhere. We're in the Hawk Center. So he's like, all right, let's race. And he lines up, puts his front foot on the 20-yard line, said, let's race to that end zone. And so he races, I think she was 5, just turned 5, my 5-year-old daughter to the end zone. And of course, he lets her win. And I can't get that image out of my mind. So when it comes to Trev, I will readily admit how things ended, not great. I do have a soft spot for him. So for me, I'm very open and honest about that. So when people are not rooting for Trev or whatever the case may be, I have a hard time joining that camp because at the end of the day, while I'm as professional as I possibly can be, I can't get that image of Trev Alberts in a suit and fancy dress shoes racing my 5-year-old daughter in the Hawks. I can't get that image out of my mind. Everyone's probably mad at me now because how dare I not just, be all negative about this. But anyways, go ahead.
I was like, coming off that thought, D-Train says those who leave and go to Texas, screw them. So maybe
technically Texas A&M, but I get his point. Yeah.
And Eric says, I was actually wrong. I thought that he was saying he who shall not be named was Trev Alberts, but he says that's Billy Seabach. Come on, we don't talk about him.
I thought it was interesting when you said you were rooting for Bill Callahan. By the way, Billy C, Joe Daly, really?
Yeah.
Is that the Joe Daly poll?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I do remember that spring game. He was the only quarterback we blitzed all day.
Was he really?
Yeah.
I remember he was like the 4th quarterback, and it was the start of the previous year.
I don't remember I could be wrong, but I remember somebody mentioned an article afterwards, one of the few that I paid attention to as a player, and they were like, Joe Daly was the only quarterback that was blitzed all day in that spring game. And I was like, man, I don't remember blitzing anybody. I don't have the exact call sheet, but you might be right. There might have been a little something to that, which is why Billy C was born. All right, go ahead.
That's about, again, there's a few that I can't read.
There's a few that you can't read?
Yeah.
All right. You got any final thoughts on this, Bach, before we move on?
Not necessarily. Again, and I don't tell people how to root one way or the other, right? But I do think it's odd that it's gotten to the point that prominent Nebraska journalists are saying, hey, you shouldn't root for Nebraska. I'll go over and read the article. He didn't quite say that. You shouldn't root for Scott Frost, excuse me. That's how much, that's what I say. Like, did he personally pee in your Cheerios or something that you're that upset about? I know it wasn't good. I know he could do a better job reflecting on it. But to me, he's still, he was a head coach. He's a quarterback on a national championship team. And I've gone to the university. I've done what I can, but it's far more than what I've put into the university.
To answer your question, I think there's a lot of Husker fans who feel like their Cheerios were peed in. I'm just saying a lot of Husker fans feel that way. Again, for me, anybody who wore the red, represented the N, it's hard for me to get that out of my mind. And it's a slippery slope. If I don't want to say people start turning on guys like this, but I think with Frost, it's hard. I said several times, he's hurting himself in front of the media. He needs someone to, and I think there's people at the university who are supposed to help the head coach with this, but he needs like a publicist, someone to help him in those press conferences because he's drastically hurting himself. And then the on-field play wasn't great. I think since then, if he's going to say things like, I'm not going to talk about that, then don't talk about it. Don't say I'm not going to talk about it and then vaguely, clearly talk about it. And at some point, if there was ever something said just simply to the effect of, hey, I could have done things better or different, maybe that would help. It doesn't even have to be like an apology or a full-blown, just something hinted that way might help. In fairness to the people who are just like, I'm not going to root for this guy ever, no matter what. I think that would shape how they'd see things a little bit differently if there was just an acknowledgement of, hey, maybe I could have done things a little bit different. Maybe it could have gone a little bit better had I done this or that. And I think that goes a long way with people. So, all right, ladies and gentlemen, we are almost back on track with the show. When we come back, Nebraska's offensive line. Jake and I are going to chat about it. What can we expect? What do we think? What did we see throughout the spring? What's fair to expect in the fall? And what do we need? What do we need from the offensive line? All right, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
The electrical workers of Local Union 265 are now hiring licensed journeyman electricians from $32.50 to $42.50 per hour with paid benefits. And if you're looking for a new career, they're hiring apprentices at $19.50 per hour with paid benefits. Call the office at 402-423-4497 to apply. Start your electrical career today.
McKinney's Irish Pub in the Haymarket is your place for English Premier League soccer. On Saturday, May 10th, Wolves plays Brighton at 9 a.m., followed by Bournemouth versus Aston Villa at 11:30 a.m. On Sunday, Man United plays West Ham at 8:15 a.m., followed by Liverpool versus Arsenal at 10:30 a.m. Liverpool currently leads the standings with 82 points. You can find all this and more at McKinney's Irish Pub in the Haymarket, your place for English Premier League soccer, located at 8th and P.
Several irrigation contractors in Lincoln go out of business every year, leaving sprinkler system orphans, begging for service. The folks at Judson Irrigation shed a tear for these little fellas. They've been coddling these orphans for more than 40 years. From redesign, repairing, replacing, and restoring, remember the Judson Irrigation Orphanage.
Call the Judson Irrigation Orphanage 402-420-6277 or judsonirrigation.com.
Get ready for the largest dirt late model event in Nebraska, race fans. The Lucas Oil Late Model Dirt Series is heading to Eagle Raceway's High Bank Heist on Thursday, May 15th through Saturday, May 17th. See the greatest dirt late model stars in the country compete for $10,000 to win on both Thursday and Friday, and an enormous $50,000 to win 75-lap main event on Saturday. The High Bank Heist, May 15th through May 17th at Eagle Raceway. For more info, visit eagleraceway.com. Let's go Lucas Oil Late Model Racing. Eagle Raceway, just 10 miles east of Lincoln on O Street.
Hey, I like your new car.
Thanks.
Could you stop at this coffee shop? I need a cup of joe.
Press that little red button.
Hey, an entire coffee machine just came out of your dashboard.
Yep.
More things should be built in, like the multiplier in Mega Millions from your Nebraska lottery. It's one of the new enhancements to the game, along with bigger jackpots and better odds.
Oh, that coffee is a little strong.
Press the blue button.
What's that?
Cream dispenser.
$5 Mega Millions top prize odds, 1 in 290 million.
Memorial Day is coming up quickly, and you know what that means. Grilling season. You know what's more embarrassing than an overcooked piece of meat? A dirty, disgusting, and grimy grill. Let the pros at Husker Grill Cleaning get you ready for grilling season. They'll take your grill apart piece by piece, scrub every inch, and reassemble it so your grill can look and perform its best. Visit their website at huskergrillcleaning.com today to schedule your appointment. Husker Grill Cleaning, serving Lincoln, Omaha, Malcolm, and more. Automotive Solutions is Lincoln's one-stop shop for all your vehicle needs, from vinyl wraps to engine repair and maintenance. Automotive Solutions offers fleet services as well as printing and graphic design for vinyl applications, plus installation of vinyl for boats, trucks, cars, and anything else you want wrapped. Perfection is their standard, and they never settle for less. Call today at 531-249-5600 or go to automotivesolutionslincoln.com to learn more. That's Automotive Solutions on 2024 Southwest 5th Street in Lincoln.
In every office, there's two types of people. There are those who bring in bagels and those who eat the bagels that someone else brought in. Everybody likes the first person. Be that first person. Weekday mornings at 7:30, you have a chance to win a business box of bagels from Bagels & Joe. All you have to do is shut up, Sipple. 2 questions for you, 2 for Sip. Win, and the bagels are yours. Lose, well, you don't want to lose.
You lost Monday, you lost Wednesday, you're a loser.
Shut up, Sipple. Weekday mornings at 7:30, brought to you by Bagels & Joe.
At Planet Fitness, we're declaring it. This is the year of getting stronger, and you can get started now by saving when you join today. We have all the best-in-class equipment you could ever need, and you can work out your way on your time at any convenient location near you. Most open 24 hours. So let's do this. Join Planet Fitness today and save. Just $1 down, $15 a month.
Find your nearest club and join today. Deal ends Friday, May 16th.
See Home Club for details.
Support Matt Talbot Kitchen and Outreach on Give to Lincoln Day. Your gift will be received by a portion of Lincoln Community Foundation's matching fund. Homelessness is a complex problem facing our community. By working together, we can find solutions. Your donation for Give to Lincoln Day moves us closer to ensuring that everyone in Lincoln has a safe place to sleep at night. Because of your generosity, hope lives here. Give anytime through May 29th at givetolincoln.com.
In dealing with the high interest rates, it's very important that you get as much bang for the buck. And that's what our Remington Homes is all about.
Bob Benish of Aspen Builders, talking about Remington Homes, which makes the home building process easier and more affordable.
People really enjoy being able to go to our website, which is remingtonlincoln.com, Pick a plan, pick a price point, go through and build it yourself. You have a lot of options, whether you want granite, whether you want painted trim or other upgrades. Those are all options with our Remington homes. People do not want to be married to their house payment. They want to get a nice house with nice finishes in a great area for an affordable price. And that's what Remington homes are all about.
Home building is easier with a Remington home from Aspen Builders at 423-6811. Online at remingtonlincoln.com. remingtonlincoln.com.
Make plans to join 93.7 The Ticket and the Amon Green Foundation for the first annual Nebraska Esports Golf Tournament on Monday, June 9th at Wilderness Ridge. It's a four-man scramble starting at 11 a.m. that will feature former Husker greats like Amon Green, Johnny Rogers, Niles Paul, Tony Davis, Adam Carriker, Vershawn Jackson, and more, with great prizes and great golf. Sponsorships are also available. Call or text us at 402-464-5685 with questions, or sign your team up online at theticketfm.com. Registration goes through May 30th.
This is the Adam Carriker Show on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Adam Carriker Show here on 93.7 The Ticket. Let's talk about the offensive line. All right, fourth-year offensive line coach Donovan Raiola, the most tenured coach in that entire building, head or assistant coach or otherwise, going into his fourth year. This is a Nebraska offensive line that a couple of years ago ran block really, really well. We struggled to throw the ball in general. Protecting the quarterback was a bit of a struggle. Last year, we improved in pass protection. I wouldn't call it elite, but it was improved. But the run blocking was not the same effectiveness level. Now, it was kind of put out there a couple of times, hey, maybe the running backs aren't hitting the holes, okay? You go into this season. Games are won and lost. Like, offense puts butts in the seats, defense wins games. But football games are won and lost in the trenches. Like, offense puts butts in the seats, defense wins games, the trenches wins championships, especially in the Big frickin' 10. If you're going to win games in the Big 10, especially above any other conference in America, a lot of it has to do with cold weather, how Big 10 football is played. You got to be able to win at the line of scrimmage way more often than not. All right, so just a couple of stats here, then we'll kind of dive into the personnel and what we think, what we can expect, and what's realistic. When it comes to sacks in 2022, despite the fact that we were number 2 in the Big 10 in rushing, let me see. This is 2022. They allowed 33 sacks. That was Donovan's first year. 2023, that was the year we were number 2 in the Big 10 in rushing. Gave up 30 sacks. So 33 to 30 sacks the following season, 2022 to 2023, and 2024 last year, a drop to 28 sacks, even though we threw the ball more often in 2024 than we did in 2023. So again, you saw that progression of improvement of protecting the quarterback, but we got to be more physical up front and more consistently able to knock people off the ball. You look at the Wisconsin game, we dominated the line of scrimmage. Was there another game that you looked at, Jake, and you're like, we dominated the line of scrimmage besides Wisconsin?
No, hard to think.
Not even Northern Iowa, right?
Yeah.
Because we had a hard time, honestly, stopping the run that game more so than we thought we would. Defensively, we had a hard time running the ball. I remember, was UTEP the first game last year?
Yeah.
I remember we ran the ball okay, but it still wasn't like we're clearly more physical than them in the trenches. I didn't see that. Okay. With Colorado, the first half obviously was 28-0 at halftime. The second half, we got outscored 10-0, 128-10. With the offensive line this year, I think it is fair to expect improvements, upgrades, and at least more consistency. I do get very excited about the interior of that O-line. Justin Evans is a guy that the coaches obviously think very, very highly of. They've talked about him winning all these awards and things of that nature. Again, I don't want to hear about that. I want to hear about the improvement, the strides, the effort, what is different, what looks different. I don't want to hear the end. I want to hear about the journey, and then the end will be whatever it is, whether there's more wins, whether there's awards, whether there's whatever there is. I'm not a particular fan of coaches talking about the end. Hey, we're going to win X amount of games, or we're going to win, this guy's going to win this many trophies, or whatever. I'm curious to hear about the journey. How are we going to get there? What are we doing? What is different? Why should we believe this? And then I want to see it on the field. But that being said, I think it's fair to say that Justin Evans is expected to be one of the better centers in the Big Ten. And I think that's his floor, by the way. I think that's a fair way to put that. You look at, and again, we're projecting starters here. These spots still have to be solidified in my mind, 100% earned. You can't just show up day one of camp, not look great, and just think you're automatically going to coast and earn it. It's still got to be earned day in and day out. You look at the guard spots, projected starters, Rocco Spindler, Henry Latufsky is going to be back in the fall. These are two big physical dudes. Like Henry Latufsky is one of the strongest guys on the team in that weight room, if not the strongest guy. Rocco Spindler came from Notre Dame, which is built at the line of scrimmage. Their running back last year was the number one graded running back by Pro Football Focus in all of college football. Part of that's him. Part of that's the offensive line. And then I do feel like we've got some depth on the interior as well. All right. You look at, and I'm curious to see what happens when Teddy Prohaska comes back, Turner Corcoran comes back. How do they factor into this? Are they factored in as tackles? Are they factored in as guards? How much competition can they present as far as potentially starting or at least adding depth, if nothing else? The worst case scenario, Preston Tamura is another guy who, can play on that interior as well. Again, a talented redshirt freshman from Hawaii, a four-star highly recruited kid, much like Grant Bricks. Now, Bricks played a lot at tackle in the spring. I'm curious to see with some of these guys coming back in fall camp along the offensive line, will he stay at tackle? Will he go back to guard? Do they feel pretty good about the interior? Maybe they keep him out at tackle if we need some more depth or more competition. He's just a big athletic kid. Maybe he should be a tackle. Who knows? I'm curious to see what they do with him. But again, I've said this before. I feel pretty decent about the interior offensive line. I feel pretty decent about the competition, the depth, the starters. Where do they put Teddy Prohaska? Where do they put Turner Corcoran when they come back? How do the coaches see them? How do they view them? All right, guys who've been tackles. Do they stay at tackle? Do they go to guard and play in less space? It's more of a phone booth. Those are large human beings, those two guys. You put them at guard. The only drawback I see, Dylan's not a short guy, but you put him at guard, even as tall as Dylan is, he may have a hard time seeing over them. I don't know how much of a factor that plays. But you give them less area and space they have to work within, give them more of a phone booth, especially with some of the injuries they've had, just trying to help them out. Maybe they're better players as a result of it. There's a reason some guys are better guards, some guys are better tackles, etc. Your center is usually a little bit of a smaller guy, not always. Andre Giroud at Dallas, when him and Leonard Davis, my gosh, Giroud was like 330. Leonard Davis was listed at 360. Lies, more like 390. That was a double team for the ages when I was at nose guard with the Rams. That was like getting hit by two walls at the same time. Two brick walls anytime they double team me. But typically your center's a little bit smaller, a little bit quicker, and one of your smarter guys on the offensive line because he's got to make a lot of the adjustments and the calls and whatnot. What are your thoughts on anything I've said so far with the interior of the offensive line there, Jake?
Yeah, I like what they've kind of got set up there. Obviously, went out and spent some money, likely, all right, in order to make this happen. But you feel pretty good, obviously, with Rocco Spindler in there. From everything I've heard, has fit in really well with Nebraska. Like you said, the praise with Evans, and then Latofsky. I feel like he's the one that maybe is a little bit overlooked at this point. We'll see. He started on and off each of the last couple of years, but you feel like he's got enough experience that. They don't, again, it's maybe still far from the pipeline days, but you feel pretty good, especially about the interior of what we've got. And then, of course, I know you get to the tackles, but a high-end tackle there at the end as well. So, this offensive line looks like it can be the part, but I think through the last 31 games, and keep me, I'm kind of doing this on the fly here with this math, but between the 2.5 seasons, I think they've had 3 games of a 100-yard rusher from the running back position. So, as much as the offensive lines got better and you can kind of point to this and that, and they did have split running backs for a majority of the season last year, that's not an especially a great accomplishment to get 100 yards. A lot of running backs do that, try to get that, 3, 4, 5 times a season. And Nebraska's had 3 in the last 2.5 seasons.
No, it's a fair point. To be clear, I have to see it. I don't know how else to put it. I have to see it. For the 11 years that there were divisions, at least the Big Ten West, 9 of those 11 years, we had the highest recruiting class of any team in the Big Ten West coming out of high school. The other 2 years, Wisconsin just barely edged us out. Like year after year, I would hear some folks talk about, the talent just isn't there. The cupboard is bare. Like, what are you talking about? Like, I'm not comparing us to Georgia and Alabama right now. I'm comparing us to everybody else in the Big Ten West. We are absolutely as talented, and let's be real, more talented than everybody in the Big Ten West. But we only played in one Big Ten championship game during that whole entire time, unfortunately. So my point is, I can talk about the positives and I can talk about what I like. We got to see it at the end of the day. Again, it's why I don't like hearing about the end. I want to hear about the journey. I want to hear about the journey, and then you can show me the end on the football field. That's how I view things. Right now, I can't see anything on the football field. So all we can talk about is the journey. And hopefully what we see on the football field matches what we perceive in the journey. And a lot of that comes down to coaching and development and things of that nature. It's funny because Matt Rule did say, man, the better players I have, the better coach I am. A lot of truth to that to be said, though. All right. And we'll see what happens on that interior spot, on those interior spots. But you got to feel decent about that. When it comes to the offensive tackle spot, man, Elijah Pritchett, projected to be the number 21 overall pick in the NFL draft next year, according to some way too early mock drafts. Like, the talent is there. Nobody's ever doubted the talent. According to 247 Sports, he was the number 1 offensive tackle in the entire country coming out of high school. You look at his stats last year, statistically, he was the least effective offensive lineman that Alabama had. Now, he's had an entire offseason to grow, develop, and prove. Sometimes the grass isn't always greener, but sometimes when you get around different people and some different surroundings, sometimes all you need is kind of a little bit of a fresh start too. So we'll see what happens. I've never questioned the talent. What we need to see is consistency. How consistent can he be? It's kind of like when Joey Harrington talked about Dylan Raiola. What's the biggest thing he needs to do in order to take the next step as a quarterback? Joey didn't talk about he needs to throw for X amount of touchdowns or completion percentage. He said lower the floor. Make it so the floor isn't very low. Take care of the ball. Move the chains. Throw it away when necessary. Make the right decisions. I would say the same thing with Elijah Pritchett. Lower the floor. The ceiling is going to be high. We know that. Lower the floor. In other words, find more consistency. Do the little things better, which, as a younger player, that's something you need to learn. He's had an entire offseason with which to grow, learn, and develop. I mean, the size is there. The athleticism is there. Can you just find that consistency and lower the floor? And then we can see how high the ceiling is potentially. The other thing that's interesting, again, you got 3 guys that were out this spring as far as the projected right offensive tackle. Is it Turner Corcoran? Is it Teddy Prohaska? Is it Gunnar Gatula, who stepped in as a freshman last year and I thought played very admirably? He was out this spring with an injury. All 3 of those guys were. How consistent can our left tackle be, Elijah Pritchett? Who's going to step up at right tackle? Maybe Grant Bricks, who was getting reps at right tackle. Tyler Canuck was talked about by Matt Rule, and he's not a small dude, I might add. None of these guys are, obviously, but who's going to step up at that right tackle spot and be the starting right tackle? Also, when guys get banged up, who can be there for depth? It's one of the things I kind of feel halfway decent about with our interior lines. If guys get banged up, I feel like we've got some decent depth in there where you couldn't have always said that before. The right tackle spot, the left tackle spot, who's going to supply competition as far as being the starters, and then who's going to supply the depth when guys get banged up? I project Gunnar Gatula to start at right tackle. I project Elijah Pritchett and Gunnar Gatula to both be players and guys that are playing on Sunday. But right now, while they're playing on Saturdays, what do you think we can realistically expect for them on Saturdays and a Thursday and a Friday this fall, Jake?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, again, a lot of it's just kind of what is Pritchett going to be, right? Like if he's a first round talent, is he playing up to the first round talent? Is he going to be a guy that is still a high pick with a lot of upside, or is he going to like play like that dominating player that is within him potentially? And then, like you said, that other side of the line is just kind of interesting. I thought Gatula played really well for a redshirt freshman, and so I'm excited about his future. Like you said, Corcoran and Prohaska, injuries, but at least there's experience there. And then the other thing that I thought was interesting, and just all across the line last season, the final game, the bowl game, of course, injuries playing into this a little bit, but all 5 backups were either freshmen or redshirt freshmen, and you've kept all of those guys except for Grant Segrin, who went off to Oklahoma State. So that could have been a guy that maybe would make you feel a little bit better about their tackle depth here. Obviously, he didn't feel like he was probably in line to start or be in that competition. So he found a different spot, or maybe it was NIL related. I'm not really sure why Grant Segrin decided to leave, but there's kind of a youth movement behind these starters too, which is why you do get excited for the depth.
It's interesting because normally in year 3 of a Matt Rule type squad, there's usually a lot of juniors, seniors, upperclassmen. And there's some positions that have that on this team. But when you look at linebacker, you look at D-line, you look at especially some of the guys up and coming on the O-line, like it's a lot of younger guys. And I think that's part of the residual effect of a new era of college football. I think it's part of the residual effect of Matt Rule kind of saying, hey, I got to do things a little bit differently now because college football is so freaking different. But yeah, there's a lot of young and up and coming talent on both sides of the ball. But again, this fall on Saturdays, a Thursday and a Friday, what do we think we're going to see? I think we will see an improved offensive line. We need to see a consistent and physical offensive line day in and day out, game in and game out. And when it's 4th and 1, can we hand the ball off and be confident we're going to get the first down? If it's 4th and goal from the half-yard line, hey, go grab a D lineman like you did with Ty last year. I love that monster formation. I don't know if you want to walk up to the line and say, hey, we're going to run the ball right here, try and stop us like Zach Wieger did back in the day against Iowa State. But you want to have that confidence that, hey, we're really, really good at this. It's going to be really hard to stop us. We don't even care if you know. And then all of a sudden you throw in a play action pass, and now you got defenses on their heels as well. But that's kind of what I'm looking for out of our offensive line this fall. All right, ladies and gentlemen, kind of a whole hoopla of Husker sports roundups when we come back. There's a Notre Dame player who could play in his 3rd national title game in less than a calendar year. That means he's playing different sports. There's an NFL quarterback that was just drafted who got a 100 on their SPS score. I'll tell you what that means when we come back. Nash Hutmaker appears to have a new potential team. Shedeur Sanders seems to be looking pretty good at the Browns camp so far. And a former baseball team here at Nebraska was honored as well. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
It's $5.99 barbecue time. Hurry to Hog Wild for a complete barbecue meal that's only $5.99. Get a 1-meat sandwich loaded with our award-winning barbecue, plus your choice of a classic side and drink for just $5.99. Upgrade your sandwich to beef brisket for just $1 more. Join us for lunch or dinner in Lincoln at 3210 Cornhusker Highway. Order online at GoHogWild.com.
But don't be late, we close at 8.
Are you looking for an exciting new way to put your skills to work? Explore new career options in the fintech industry at Currency, a Sandhills global company. We offer full-time positions in financial sales, compliance, operations, and other fields. We also offer a 4.5-day work week, an attractive benefits package, and opportunities for advancement. Put your motivation to work and grow with us at Currency. Visit gocurrency.com/careers to learn more.
Automotive Solutions is Lincoln's one-stop shop for all your vehicle needs, from vinyl wraps to engine repair and maintenance. Automotive Solutions offers fleet services as well as printing and graphic design for vinyl applications, plus installation of vinyl for boats, trucks, cars, and anything else you want wrapped. Perfection is their standard, and they never settle for less. Call today at 531-249-5600 or go to automotivesolutionslincoln.com to learn more. That's Automotive Solutions on 2024 Southwest 5th Street in Lincoln.
93.7 The Ticket, Fox, KFXL weather. Sponsored by John Henry's Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning.
Your Lincoln forecast for today, we'll see lots of sunshine with a light breeze. It'll be warm with an afternoon high near 87. Tonight, clear skies and light winds, a low near 58. And tomorrow, we'll see lots of sunshine. It'll be breezy and warm with an afternoon high near 91. I'm meteorologist Kyle Fletcher for 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Get ready for the largest dirt late model event in Nebraska, race fans. The Lucas Oil Late Model Dirt Series is heading to Eagle Raceway's High Bank Heist on Thursday, May 15th through Saturday, May 17th. See the greatest dirt late model stars in the country compete for $10,000 to win on both Thursday and Friday, and an enormous $50,000 to win 75-lap main event on Saturday. The High Bank Heist, May 15th through May 17th at Eagle Raceway. For more info, visit eagleraceway.com. Let's go Lucas Oil Late Model Racing. Eagle Raceway, just 10 miles east of Lincoln on O Street.
It pays to participate in LES Peak Rewards. You can earn a $25 gift card when you enroll your qualified smart thermostat in the program. Help curb electric demand and sign up today at les.com/peak rewards.
Spring sports are here and it's time to upgrade your equipment. But don't go rushing to your big box store. Play It Again Sports is your place to go for all spring sports equipment for baseball, softball, golf, and disc golf. Play It Again Sports has quality, slightly to gently used equipment, and 50% of their inventory is actually new equipment. And don't forget, buying from them is a great way to get new products with great discounts by also bringing in your used items for store credit or cash on the spot. Play It Again Sports at 48th and Vine. The electrical workers of Local Union 265 are now hiring licensed journeyman electricians from $32.50 to $42.50 per hour with paid benefits. And if you're looking for a new career, they're hiring apprentices at $19.50 per hour with paid benefits. Call the office at 402-423-4497 to apply. Start your electrical career today. Select Plumbing and Utility has been serving Lincoln and the surrounding area for 14 years, and they're not slowing down. Select Plumbing and Utility handles all your plumbing needs from faucets and water heaters to full renovations, and they can even help with your heating and cooling needs. They're also Lincoln's underground experts, repairing and replacing broken underground water and sewer lines since day one. Contact Select Plumbing and Utility today at 402-560-6197, assuring excellence in every situation, opportunity, and challenge. That's 402-560-6197.
Play ball! Pitch the perfect idea for a family outing or date night with tickets to the next Salt Dogs game. Nothing says summer fun like an action-packed evening at Haymarket Park. Come root for the home team with a hot dog and a cold drink. Plus, visit saltdogs.com to learn about special events and promotions, including group discounts. Don't miss out on the thrill and excitement of a Salt Dogs win. Visit saltdogs.com to reserve your tickets today.
Are you ready for a new opportunity? Check out Sandhills Global. Join a dynamic team where your skills are valued and your career can soar. We offer full-time positions with a 4.5-day work week, competitive pay, excellent benefits, and a positive work environment. From IT and marketing to sales and finance, we're looking for talented individuals like you. Apply today at sandhills.jobs and take the first step towards an exciting future. That's sandhills.jobs. Don't wait, apply now.
This is James Harrell with NP Dodge Real Estate. When I became a licensed realtor, I wanted a brokerage that would help me grow in my new career. I found that in Lincoln First Realty. When Lincoln First was acquired by NP Dodge, the training and support I received only got better. I love knowing I have the power of the NP Dodge brand behind me. I would recommend NP Dodge to new agents looking to jumpstart their real estate career and to current agents who want to take their business to the next level.
Expand your career with NP Dodge. Call Eric at 402-434-2222.
In every office, there's two types of people. There are those who bring in bagels and those who eat the bagels that someone else brought in. Everybody likes the first person. Be that first person. Weekday mornings at 7:30, you have a chance to win a business box of bagels from Bagels & Joe. All you have to do is shut up, Sipple. 2 questions for you, 2 for Sip. Win, and the bagels are yours. Lose, well, you don't want to lose.
You lost Monday, you lost Wednesday, you're a loser.
Shut up, Sipple. Weekday mornings at 7:30, brought to you by Bagels & Joe. This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com. On the internet. KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket. This is the Adam Carriker Show on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Boom! Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Adam Carriker Show here on 93.7 The Ticket. We got to move quickly. All right. Just last week, they honored the 20th anniversary of 2005 College World Series Nebraska baseball team. The 2005 squad finished with an impressive 57-15 record, capturing both the Big 12 regular season and tournament championships. Quick thoughts before we move on that, Jake?
Oh, man, what a time to be alive. What a time to be a Husker fan back then. Those runs were really special. It's like when you said 57-15, that was just even hard for my brain to compute. My goodness.
All right, next bit of news. Shadur versus Dylan Gabriel's very real, although Jake and I are both of the mindset that Kenny Pickett may be the odd guy out here. But early reports are that Shadur looks pretty good in minicamp. Even some reports that he looks significantly better than Dylan Gabriel does in minicamp. There was one reporter, you could hear him whispering during one of the press conferences to another reporter. He goes, "I'm taller than Dylan," which I was like, whoa, dude, hot mic, man. All right. Former Nebraska defensive lineman Nash Hutmaker got a tryout with the Ravens, but was unsigned. Tampa just signed him, and he will join John Bullock and Ben Scott in their undrafted free agent rookie class. Quick thoughts, Jake?
Yeah, I was surprised. I thought that, I was surprised the Ravens weren't more interested in him. Like we said, it's been interesting to follow his career. And I thought for a long time that he's going to find his spot and make it. So hopefully it's here with the Bucks.
I don't quite get it, to be honest with you. It's a little bit surprising. We'll see how it unfolds, though. Kind of one of those intriguing stories, if you will. All right. Jackson Dart and Lamar Jackson are the only two quarterbacks to ever get a 100 on their SPS score. Basically, this is a system designed to predict the success of NFL players. A 100. Will he be better than Shedeur? Will he be better than Cam?
Man.
Will he be better than Shedeur? Let's just go with that one. What's your prediction, Jake?
Oh, man, that's tough. I guess he's probably got. Sometimes it's about your opportunity, right? Not your pure talent. A lot of times your talent will rise to the top, but I mean, he's going to get the opportunity. Where Shedeur, I'm not sure if he is going to get a starting opportunity. So I'd have to say yes, but I don't feel good about it.
It's interesting because you raise a good point. Like if you're drafted, sometimes guys get drafted because the owner wanted you, but maybe the coaches and GM don't. I'm still not convinced Cleveland wanted Shedeur. How much of a shot's he going to get? But at the end of the day, he's going to bring ratings and butts in the seats. And at the end of the day, the owner is the boss. And if he looks halfway decent, again, I don't want to say it's Kenny Pickett, who they traded for this offseason, by the way, the Browns did. I don't see Dylan going anywhere. Draft him in the third round. You got to cause off-the-field problems to get out of here that fast. Obviously, I don't think they're getting – maybe they get rid of Joe Flacco. That would be pretty surprising, though. I think that'd be a shocker, projected day one starter. I don't know. We'll see what happens with Shedeur. It's going to be intriguing. And I talked about this right around the national championship time of the college football title game. But Jordan Faison, who was their best wide receiver, he won a 2024 NCAA national championship with Notre Dame's lacrosse team. All right, obviously then went on to play in the national championship game of college football, Notre Dame versus Ohio State. I should mention, in 2024, in 15 of their 17 games, he scored a goal for the lacrosse team. All right, he has scored 9 goals so far this season in just 11 games. He scored 3 goals in their last 4 games, and Notre Dame is on track to play for yet another potential lacrosse national championship. Obviously, a lot of season left to play there, including the postseason. But what if this dude plays for 3 different NCAA national championships within the span of a calendar year? How awesome and crazy would that be?
That would be crazy. I need to get more into my lacrosse game because I don't know. When you mentioned those gold numbers, I'm thinking that sounds good. But then I'm thinking I don't know what is good, so I'd have to look it up.
It sounds impressive. I can't dive deep into the knowledge of lacrosse either. Here's what I will tell you: he was their best wide receiver last year, and he's going to be fun to watch this fall as well. All right, until tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen. No case of the Mondays allowed. Go Big Red, and always remember to throw the boat.
Is heading to Eagle Raceway's High Bank Heist on Thursday, May 15th through Saturday, May 17th. See the greatest dirt late model stars in the country compete for $10,000 to win on both Thursday and Friday, and an enormous $50,000 to win 75-lap main event on Saturday. The High Bank Heist, May 15th through May 17th at Eagle Raceway. For more info, visit eagleraceway.com. Let's go Lucas Oil Late Model Racing. Eagle Raceway.